Hey, we've got Spencer Schwellenbach joining us from the Braves right now. I think second time. I think joined us last year on FT. So Spencer's back. Spencer, great to see you. How's your sophomore season going, man?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, of course. Now, I have to start here just because we're fresh off this series, and I'm from the area, so is Todd Father. Did you know that you're the nicest, most hated player for Mets fans?
I did not know that.
You know why, though.
Yeah.
Talk
Tell
about
everyone
yeah.
what do you got? What do you got on the Mets that you just absolutely carve them up?
Man, I don't know. Um, just like pitching against good teams and um, like pitching against good players. So it's fun pitching against that team.
I want to ask. Yeah, that's funny. You think in New York, Queens, like you are one of the nicer guys. You don't talk smack. You just get after. You've been having a really good season. What do you attest that to? Is there like a mentor there? Guys that that are taking you by the wings. Like who's a guy right now that you talk to after a game, before a game, and try and get either that mental approach ready or that grind. Like, all right, this is what I need to do. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, I mean, first guy that comes to mind is Chris Sale. I mean, he's done it for a long time at a really high level, and he's been through a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of success, and he's the guy that I go to with any questions, with any concerns. And then Spencer Strider has been a huge help. Having him back this year, just watching bullpens and picking his brain on certain things, and he knows a lot about the game, a lot about pitch design, pitch grips, how it should look. So just kind of leaning on those guys and trusting in the pitching coaches and the catchers, and trusting in myself as well.
Did you tell Sale that it's okay to have just a little bit meat on those bones that might protect you when you lay out for a ball? Maybe an ounce of fat might give you a little cushion.
Yeah,
Was that
yeah,
old adage? You can't pull fat. I think he might need
he's
to start
scared he's
steering
gonna
away.
yeah he's scared he's gonna lose the Gold Glove this year, so he's trying to make up for it by diving for balls.
Now, he's on the IL now. Who have you thought? Because you got some great pitchers to pick from, and you kind of just hinted on it a little bit. So, who have you been learning the most from? Who have you been taking the most from on how to approach pitching this year in your second year round?
Yeah, so just leaning on Rick Kranitz, pitching coach. He's old school, but there's a lot to learn with that. I grew up in today's game. You have a lot of metrics and TrackMan data, and sometimes you kind of overlook what it's like to actually pitch. And he's one of the best in the game at understanding swings, understanding certain counts, hitters, and he's helped me a lot with that. And then going on with other pitchers like Pierce Johnson's got one of the best curveballs I've ever seen. Just talking to him about different release points, and Grant Holmes, he's a when you look at his slider, his curveball, he spins the ball with the best of them as well. So when I'm in going wrong with the slider, when the slider's not moving right, those are some of the guys that I talk to with that.
I want to bring up a little bit. 10 games out of the NL East. It wasn't the start you guys wanted. Ronald Acuna has been absolutely dominant. You see this team making a run here, or do you see this team, trade deadline coming up? Do you hear anything about what's going on with the Braves? Do you think a trade or two, or how you feeling about the squad right now?
I mean, we trust in each and every one of us. We know that we got a team that can get it done, and it's just a matter of time.
Spencer, the All-Star game's coming up. Obviously, it's in Atlanta, and speaking of Acuna, he's going to be doing the Derby there, which is cool. I know most guys are going to be focusing on the season, but this is your sophomore season. How special would it be to get there? Because probably for the rest of your career, you're not going to have another Atlanta All-Star hosting situation like this.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be special, and it being in Atlanta, that'd be a really good one to be in. But like you said, I mean, we got a lot of games left before the All-Star break, and we're trying to win some games, get back to 500, get us set up to have a good second half.
I want to switch gears here just for a second. Saw you from Saginaw, Michigan. Was hockey ever something big for you out there? Because I know in that Midwest area, there's some good hockey out there. Talk to me a little about, if not, what are some activities you like doing besides that?
So I never competitively played hockey, but every winter the pond would freeze and me and all my friends would go out with the 2 nets and 10 of us would go play on the frozen pond. So that was a lot of fun. But both my parents were basketball players, so that was kind of during the same season. So I never got to play hockey. But other than that, I love every sport: pickleball, tennis, golf, basketball, football, soccer. Literally anything that has a ball or a puck or whatever, like playing.
Hey, so let me take you back to the mound here for a moment. So you had your first complete game of your career. That was 3 weeks ago, June 11th. Where do you think we're at as you're a young pitcher here with the sport trying to let guys let it eat a little bit more again with innings pitched? And I think a good example that we've been using the past week is a team in the other league in the AL, the Rays, who are thriving right now, and they were the team kind of leading the charge at one point with openers, bullpen games, etc. Now they're top 3 in baseball in innings pitched from their starters. One other thing I wanted to throw out there is we had Skeens against Mizorowski the other day. Everyone's watching. The place sells out. So what can we do to highlight the starter more, and also from a younger level, right, or a lower level, allow starters to let it eat so they can do that up in the big leagues?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's nice seeing starting pitchers go deep into games, and with how the game has kind of changed, we're chasing strikeouts or we're chasing swing and miss. So you see less of the 7, 8, 9 inning games. So, but for me, I try to go 15 innings or less per inning. It's kind of what the goal was in the minor leagues with the Braves. Like, we want to be 15 pitches or less, and that'll allow you to go deeper into games. And listen, I mean, pitchers are throwing harder than ever. They're chasing strikeouts. So I think that with how the game is going, we might not be seeing many complete games, but it's nice to definitely go deep into games.
How did the Braves work it with you when you were in the minors? Because the Braves have done a nice job of getting some starting pitchers developed that weren't always the most highly touted, right? And then all of a sudden they come up to the bigs and they're like, this guy's ready to go and he can pitch deep into outings. They've done a better job than I would say most teams on that front. So, what was it like when you were talking to them in terms of the balance of, not overdoing it, but also for them to let you see how it is to work into a 6th, 7th inning? I doubt you went into an 8th in the minors. Did they let you go that deep? No.
No. So my first year in 2023, I was coming off of Tommy John. So it was like a lot of 25 pitch outings and then 30 pitch outings. So they did it the right way with building me up. And I don't know if I got into the 7th inning that first year at all. I think they only went 6. But then the second year in 2024, I threw maybe into the 7th once or twice. And but they do a really good job with monitoring guys' arms. And I think they have a pretty strict pitch count of around 85 pitches. And they want to see guys that can maintain their velo and coming in deep in games, and then they'll let you earn it after that.
Besides your pitch count, then, from the difference between year 1 and year 2, what other differences can you talk about that you've noticed in the game? Because usually it's you come up, you might have success, hitters adjust to you, then you adjust back. So this game will always go back and forth a little bit. That's the cat and mouse of this game. But what are some of the other big adjustments or big differences you've seen now between year 1 and year 2?
Yeah, so doing scouting report stuff, you got to understand that the teams are also doing a scouting report against you. But then you also want to pitch to your strengths. So it's kind of, like you said, a cat and mouse game where, it's in year 2, I've understood to read swings a little bit better. Last year it was just like, okay, this pitch is supposed to work to this guy, and if it doesn't work, now what are you going to do? So understanding swings, understanding different locations and why they work, and also doing scouting reports and looking at not only hot and cold zones, but seeing what the swing looks like. If a guy's got a flat swing, or if a guy's trying to lift the ball, just stuff like that.
Now, if you have a pitch that you think is going to work against a specific guy and you go to it and he nails it, you're like, you got him to chase. How often do you immediately go right back to that? Or do you know then you're like, okay, I know I've got this in my arsenal. I might save it for till 2 strikes, or that this works against him. And you can then pick and choose when you get it. Or it's like, hey, let's go with this one. It works. We're going to keep going until it doesn't.
Yeah, I think there's a time and place to repeat the pitch. Depending if it's first at bat, second at bat, third at bat. You got to save some stuff for the third time through the lineup. So just understanding even if there's guys on base too, it's also a different scenario there. So I've got 6 pitches, so it gives me more to work with too.
That does help.
Hey, yeah, and on that topic, I mean, it seems like guys are able to pick up pitches quicker nowadays. I'm sure some of that has to do with the tech and the advancement on the coaching front. How have you noticed that, whether it's in the minors and now up in the bigs and guys that you pitch around, where all of a sudden everyone's showing up to spring training with a new pitch? And it's not just, I mean, obviously sometimes they're toying with it, but it's often actually converting into being used in the regular season, right? Like for me, I feel like I have to do a lot more homework going into a season as a broadcaster, being like, okay, what are all of his pitches now in his pitch usage? Where, maybe go 15 years back and it's like, oh, I know what he throws. It's the same thing his entire career.
Yeah. I think with all the data that we have, if you see someone spinning their fastball at a certain, on a certain axis, that they can throw a seam shifted sinker, or they can throw a cutter. So it's like adding these pitches is easier than it sounds, because you're ultimately just throwing the pitch the same way, but with a different grip. And there's so many really intelligent people that know a lot about the game, a lot about grips, release points, and I think that guys are kind of working harder than ever in that aspect as well.
Hey, Spencer, who on the Braves should we be talking more about? Obviously, we know a lot of the names that are signed up for lifetime deals, essentially. But who else should we be talking about this year that we're not talking enough about on a national level?
Yeah, I think Drake Baldwin should be an all-star. He doesn't get enough credit. I think he came into the year. He started off slow. He was crushing the ball everywhere, and his average, his hitting stats, they just didn't, it didn't show that. And he stayed with it. Has been awesome in the clubhouse. He's been awesome to throw to, and I think not only should he be in the All-Star game, but he needs to be talked about a lot more.
I like that. Well, tell us a little more about him. I don't know a lot about him. I haven't really seen him do many interviews. Like, he seems a little bit quiet and hidden. So what's he like?
Yeah, he is a quiet guy. He's goofy. Always has a smile on his face. I threw to him a lot in minor leagues, and just to see how much better that he has gotten with receiving, blocking, pitch calling, reading swings. It's really fantastic to watch. Really good guy.
Nice. Well, Spencer, dude, this was awesome, man. Really appreciate the time. Great to have you back on and to see you thriving again. So keep doing your thing, dude.
All right. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate you. That's Spencer Schwellenbach, Atlanta Braves. Also, hopefully we'll see him at the All-Star game coming up in a couple weeks.